conversation has gone a long way towards helping me be afraid of everything around
What
here.
is going on,
I can't
world?
even breathe right now.
How are you all doing?
I was told that when you push that button, there'll be immediate help. How long do you think it takes for them to answer if someone pushes this button?
Oh.
I already pushed this button like 5 minutes ago. Someone should be beating the crap out of me. You know what it takes? A bit of flame and a second to that. Isn't that the truth? I'm panicking, I'm worrying. My heart was beating. I can tell I'm starting to sweat. I'm a mess. I'm turning. It has everything to do with Andrew. What's going to happen to my son?
Adam's little girl looks so cute.
I can't sleep, I can't breathe. I feel like I'm going insane.
Huh?
I already seen the whole series.
Normally, I pride myself on being the guy that can take care of the problem. This is a problem I can't take care of. Straight ahead. Let's go get that.
For a second, I forgot I was live. I don't know why I like this song. I wonder if he did put it up with everybody else. Damn, he fucking did put him up.
Ain't gotta turn on the lights, I take a shot in the dark. Rolling around that.
So, my husband ended up showing me the new song that Dax had made. And I fell in love with it. And then all of a sudden, they started making all of these TikToks where he gave people the ability to jump in on the lyrics as well. So what I'm listening to are all the top fucking remixes, the ones that he liked.
Feel this hole in my heart, and I got nowhere to go when it all falls down. Got nowhere to run when it all runs out. Drowning my sorrows with bottles, too intoxicated for me to take the high road. Since the whiskey came, I done lost my way, lost myself in a drink.
Just one more shot of whiskey, then I'll put the bottle down. The word that it provides me is the best that I have found. And I know that it can't kill me, cause I'm already dead. And I would do anything to drown these thoughts inside my head. I'm messed up, fucked up, and I always disappoint. My mental health doesn't give me much of choice. Drunk in the crowds, getting lost in all the noise. If someone screams and no one hears,
I told myself I would never ever drink like this again. It's 5 o'clock on the dot, the liquor's pulling me in. I'm one more drink from blacking out, so I'ma try to pretend like I'm not feeling the buzz, but damn, I'm wasted. The only time I feel alive is when I'm lit as a bitch. I said only one second, but now I'm faded. I wouldn't be in this position, always feeling like shit. But when the alcohol hits, it feels amazing.
Hey, and I'm talking about the drink and the ball too. Get a lot of people trying to kill me, I'm about
This
to.
one I
ain't
loved
got a
her.
tattoo, but I wish I got to. Soon I get the money and the fame, what about you? And I'm talking about the drink and the liquor. Trying to put my brain in the game, damn figure. All I do is drink and drink and drink and think. Take like 3, 4, 5 in a day. Hey, I got a lot of problems, family problem, relationship problem. All I gotta do is just solve them. Everybody trying to get me all fucked up, trying to do no drugs, so I fill my cup with Hennessy. Fully on top, leave me up like a Friday. Call me on phone with the Huawei. Yeah, I'm running from my problems, but I know.
At 14, I had my first OJ and vodka and thought I was so G. Technically turning and popping these pills and mixing my drink with the codeine. But then the OD, should've listened when they told me. Now when I drink, I get to sending you these messages just cause I'm lonely. And it ain't cause I'm wasted, it's because I'm lost. I need you to go. And I don't know no other way to take it when I'm about to go. Look, I'm at the bottom of the bottle again. I be living through a life with a whole lot of sin. And I know I got a problem, I don't try to pretend. I be kicking it with Jack when I don't got a friend. I get wasted, sipping a beer, that's how I chase it. Go to the store and cop cases. When I get drunk, I do not face it. I done blacked out on many occasions. Even though it never feels good on the next day, I'ma still look forward to the next taste. Turning to the bottle when I really need an escape. Even though I know it's probably leading to my death day. It's a vicious cycle that is genocidal. And it's taking friends and taking many items. And I know that I really must stop it.
I could drink all day, I could drink all night to help me escape what's in on my mind. I really, really wanna get a life, but this demon just wanna fight me. Why do you wanna deny me? Why do you walk criticize me? But you was there when I started, now I'm wasting. You held me down the chain. You made me feel excited in my soul and my praise too. Oh Lord, please help me. I don't know what I mean to. You were just a lie. Victim, I look in the mirror. All I see. Oh, somebody just to wonder why. Always need. Ooh, instead of dealing with it, I'm feeling it. I tell myself I don't need someone, and it's all.
That's what I'm watching, y'all.
Open the bottle, take a sip, and then you lean back. Roll your eyes, reminiscing about this backtrack. The whiskey starts to burn your eyes, so you start to blink. Your mind's calling, you start calling another drink. Cause it'll get you through it. It'll make you numb. It'll convince you that the last hope is fucking done. So put the bottle down. Prepare a hot for the next drink is because you want it to.
I got wasted, shocked and I chased it. Wanted a taste, now it's my night that I'm wasted. It's been happening more and more. Start with one and then I'm pouring four. Now I'm stumbling through the corridor, crying out for anything except a level head. I've been fighting all these demons with the spirits, put them right to bed. I know they'll find me when I feel the hangover, cause they don't leave the man I am until he's sober.
My favorite.
I was young, this always feel in my body saying. He said, don't judge me, baby, maybe you might understand. Sipping the liquor makes the pain seem less thicker, and I know he wants to quit, but he keeps. And now I'm at the same bar and I'm sipping away my problems. And maybe I should think, yeah, maybe I should solve them. And I don't wanna be like him, now like my dad.
I spend my life drinking.
These two are my favorite. Look, this chick's voice. I don't know, it's what she says that fucking hits home.
Put the spirits, put them
Not to him, what?
I know they'll find me when I feel
They'll come out right now.
Cause they don't hate the man I am until he's sober.
When I was younger, saw a bill in my daddy's hand. He said, don't judge me, baby, maybe you might understand. Sipping the liquor makes the pain seem less thicker, and I know he wants to quit, but he keeps. And now I'm at the same bar and I'm sipping away my problems. And maybe I should think, yeah, maybe I should solve them. And I don't wanna be like him, now like my dad.
I spend my life drinking, I got half overthinking. Blaming on the disposition and the family full of addiction. Some say it's already written. I guess the first step is admitting it's all being sober and dealing with feelings. But I ain't a quitter. I don't plan on quitting. Yeah. Half a bottle got me catching waves. Spring the line, we gon' cross fade. Used to buy it to be an addict until I learned another way. I've been finding my balance, letting go of my malice. Here's a toast to the challenge.
I don't wanna drink no more. This one is $1,000 sink I pour. Someone to me. All these demons I'm fighting. Can't do it by myself. Screaming, crying, I'm reaching for the shell. I ain't gonna let you do that. Better lose that. Put it down right now. Better move back. You got two girls to follow how you
I like the way he did that shit to his video.
You like how it tastes. Plus it makes all other voices erase. If you want us away, you know what it takes. Just one little drink.
I quit sipping and get to the money. I'd rather be rich and be numb to the pain. Issues within me, I think no one love me. You tell me it's only inside of my brain. Thought of myself and I try to explain. Drink to forget and get how to maintain. If I quit for good and I try to refrain, and I gotta admit that I'm drowning in pain. I don't wanna face it, rather pour up and get wasted. Straight cause I'm trying to taste it. All of my problems will probably get better with time, but I'd rather be drunk to be patient. Why would I chase it? Love I hit when I face it. That bottle take me to places.
Quick high, been along the low. You call me when I come home, but I can't be your only remedy. Gonna save you, gonna kill me, so write it down. Put it in your song, hope you pour it out. We all feel less alone instead of getting wasted. Waste your time making something real good to turn your wasted power, helping other people.
Yeah, keeping my feelings inside. There isn't no killing my pride. I numb to the pain, but I tried to swallow it all in a bottle. My foot on the throttle, one deep when I ride. I sit and I write, stay in my zone. But it's alright, they let me alone. Used to be taking shots of Patron, popping some Xanax, dropping my phone. Yeah, I had to change it up and try to do the sober route. Set my name and bring it up. My passion, can just throw it out. Had the shit you think you know you really do not know about. People talk shit, but those are people I don't go around. I had to go and change my ways. I didn't want to overdose. So when I can find my place, someone who can hold me close. The pressure's taking over me. I'm dying, and nobody knows.
That night that I got so wasted, faded, I don't know if I can take it. Flashbacks in my mind cause I blacked out, and I know that cause I keep replaying it. Yeah, I got up and my drink down, but when I first got feeling, see I can't take it. Yeah, it's mentally draining, and I say it out loud, but I stop complaining. I don't think that I'm someone that you recognize. Drugs don't help, yeah, they're just the devil in disguise. Been through hell, made it out, don't know how I'm alive.
Wasting all my time away, thinking I'm not doing it right. Rather like a problem, now I'm turning aside. Rather burn some more with my problems inside. Never suffer help by this pain. Won't go away. Mentally, but these days.
All this getting wasted, one day's gonna be the death of me. But I can't end the pain unless I got my life with therapy. Voices in my head are saying it won't get no better. Leaving messages and bottle suicide letters. And I can't tell my friends cause really they don't understand. So here I go again with this damn bottle in my head. And maybe one day I'll be strong enough for me to face it. But till then pour another cup.
God damn, I'm bleeding, dying inside. I believe in every lie cause I don't know healing. Dear God, do you see me? Do you really feel me? Cause I'm on the edge and I don't wanna jump, don't wanna get drunk. Is this up front? Cause I wanna get done. Go for the gun, poison upon. I want a quick one. Lord, I'm bleeding. I'm plenty and no, I'm not alone. No man can cry cause I gotta keep going. I've been drinking alone, I've been living
That's
no
so
bone. I'm cold, but I wanna change the story. Maybe with a poem, maybe with a song. Lord, I'm alone. Do you pick my calls? Lord, I'm broken, playing in a song. Lord, I'm lost. Do you hear me calling? All the friends that I got don't stay. Family dramas, I'm living in the play. Down with the cash, what I need, I can't pay. This dedication to me is like a plague. Maybe I'm greedy, maybe I'm blind to the blessings you give me. Maybe you're planning the best, I believe it. Lord, I'm lost and I need you to leave.
Bodies of the innocent, sitting on my self down. There goes my memories, there goes the best of me. Sober I've never been.
These are long ass fucking videos.
That's all of them. That's why I said that.
Who the fuck was I gonna look for? Busy Paul? Yes. Busy Bone. He's back. See what you got for us, Busy.
Busy need, you act like busy need, you act like busy need, you a busy need is dead. I've been going against the grain for a long time. Nothing you can do, whatever, fuck me up and knock me off my square. Yeah, I'm just like Bernie Mac. None of your motherfuckers make me scared. I know you niggas ain't my honesty, but truth is never fair. I came up here with the musket, you know, busy bump up there. I'm Michael Jackson and the thugs. My performance top tier. I'm the youngest of the group. Run your fingers through my hair. Cardio, word to Mario. Said I popped a couple of shrooms in the body up. Got the body up, just to get it up. My sister navigate, they try to play me. They always offer me more. They're the dragon trying to slay me until 2024. Wishing flesh and laying crazy.
Hold on, real quick. If y'all actually pay attention to the words that are coming out of his mouth, he tells a crazy ass fucking story. Like, he's another fucking lyrical genius. And he does not use auto tune or what's that other shit? There's auto tune and something else. He doesn't use anything to fucking fuck with his voice. That's all him. They may like the only thing they would use would be like a clearer. Huh?
It's called a hyper.
Yeah, the hyper.
Apocalyptic courses, I'ma represent the baby when it's dead. All our religions, I'ma still hang on to Jesus. These are niggas, they could never motherfucking never see it. But I see it, know me, I can be in love. Every time that
I like that shirt. I like his outfit.
really ain't the topic, I'm a prophet. Some niggas call themselves stars, that's a speaker off. See niggas, this is for, let's get cosmic. So got so much power in the sky, it's never meant to be awkward. It's a phrase to some niggas, I was cool, conversation, I was made for this niggas, keep it goose. Shit, I left my partial officials and I'm a fighter. It's 20K to fix it, I write it. Just imagine this is mosh pit. Everybody's toxic. I know my humans got me. I'ma play them like they're toxic. Now it's beneath me quick as IG drop comments. Snap back to reality. Get shelters for that nonsense. Shots and scotch curated in a box. BB and Beanie, BB and Beanie. What perfect timing is a phrase to some niggas. I was cool, I paid attention, I was made for this. Shots and scotch curated in a box. BB and Beanie, BB and Beanie. What perfect timing is a phrase to some niggas. I was cool, I paid attention, I was made for this. Shots of scotch curated in a box. BB and Beanie, BB and Beanie. If you tell me to forgive them, I'll forget them. When I get this, please don't blame me when they bang. If they take a picture at the bottom of my leg, but that really ain't a topic. I'm a prophet. The vibe was never meant to be awkward. So forgive them, I'll forget them. When I get this, please don't blame me when they bang. Take a picture hanging at the bottom of my leg, but that really ain't the topic. I'm a prophet. The vibe was never meant to be awkward. Black cat, black cat, black cat, black cat, black cat, black cat, black cat. Watch, you niggas are not. Shots of scotch curated in a box. BB and Beanie, BB and Beanie. What perfect timing is a phrase to some niggas. I was cool, I paid attention, I was made for this. Shots of scotch curated.
I miss watching Busy Bone. Or listening to even his music. I'm kind of glad he came up with some new shit.
Ain't nobody gonna stop what I want, cause I get what I get. I'm my own damn boss, and these niggas I take.
Yeah.
See, I am not
I don't know
ain't
what the
nobody
fuck
gonna
that
stop
was,
what
but
I
it was
want, cause I
gorgeous.
get what I get. I'm my
The
own
Rolls
damn
Royce.
boss, and these niggas I take. See, I am not I'm flipping the pistol for you niggas. It's Mr. Ripstar. This one's a soldier, this one's a kill ya. Shotgun, better get the money for they kill ya. These niggas are kill ya. You tell him put a heat out. I hate to put him in a seat now. You know I picked up pull a pistol on a nigga. Always keep a thing on me. You niggas are crazy. You know I'm gonna bang on him. They say why you ain't doing shows. What the fuck is stick with the truth? Is the truth? I want as much money as y'all get snoop. I'll keep on looking like a legend. Lil Easy gave me 30,000 for my children. He gave 70 to my brother, and this is for a fair bitch. I never fucked up the boot. These niggas know me down the keys, and I'm a shooter, I shoot. Bitch, I'm ready. Like the day I'm at easy. Living and trying to do is crazy. You only can trust BB. Ain't nobody gonna stop what I want, cause I get what I get on my own damn boss. And these niggas out there, see, I am not a. Ain't nobody gonna stop what I want, cause I get what I get on my own damn boss. And these niggas out there, see, I am not a. I'm not a fact, my people left me and they listen to them voices. Now they understand I'm stronger than whatever they choices. Matter of fact, my baby, I know where my name is. She was fucking with the top. She made me on the first like everyone. I love the fact that people thought you boy and dirty, but my homies are the ones who keep on being proper happy. Industry stay switches. You know that you niggas listen. I'm different. I take the shots and I catch the steps and come get you. Make me happy to the street. Watch these niggas keep the change. And I'm a reason right to take the out your teeth. Bitch, I'm ready. Like the day I met easy. Living and trying to do is greasy. You only can trust BB. Ain't nobody gonna stop what I want, cause I get what I get. I'm my own damn boss, and these niggas out there, ain't nobody gonna stop what I want, cause I get what I get. I'm my own damn boss, and these niggas out there, see, I am not a. Take you to the 90s where we feel shit. Then they brought the pills and the sabotage the children. Hoes on the road trying to serve like we fiends. So don't ask me why I don't show up to shows. Fuck you mean? I take you to the edge. You ain't seen what I see. Won't let you phony motherfuckers kill my dreams. You just wanna be trendy. And I don't wanna be stuck up, so I'm friendly. But I remember this is just too fucking dangerous. It could end the only just where they send me when they pretend to be my friend. Ain't not happy, I'm doing real, so I'ma floss and get it in. I came to the conclusion most you motherfuckers just fraudulent. Cause every time I call you, you want it, but you ain't on it. Look at my DMs, they're trying to get me in. But most of you motherfuckers don't really think I read them. I see them.
How do you want it?
See, I am not a. Ain't nobody gonna stop what I want, cause I get what I get. I'm my own damn boss, and these niggas up there. See, I am not a.
Shut up.
Gonna stop what I want, cause I get what I get. I'm my own damn boss, and
How do you want your dad?
see, I am not a. Ain't nobody gonna stop what I want, cause I get what I get.
How big is the booger? Big four?
Are you ready?
You ain't gonna stop my man, no. 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 Money and then I get it back. I'm a nigga that's facts, nigga that's facts. Most of these niggas said they wanna shoot you, but they've been Hollywood, they wanna screw you. People be thirsty, so they put that on the fence and forget.
I need to spark something that I keep telling Taz that I'm gonna smoke with him and we never fucking smoke it.
Oh, you wanna watch something go fucked up? Video for mine.
Then they would call me and tell me we got it. I get on the phone and I say,
As long as it ain't no weird ass videos like when we tried fucking watching the revolting cops. She was loony as shit. So I wrote this joint like 4 days ago, maybe longer. And it has dab in here. That's why it's darker here than everywhere else. And it's been fucking with me for couple of days, I'm like, fuck, I had to smoke it. I mean, now that we are live, I figured why not smoke it now? Are you ready to dive in?
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from. To accept charges, press
The title.
1.
And the other thing is for Biggie, I'm quite sure if they saw the first one, they would saw the second one. The same circle of people have nothing to do with me.
In multiple prison interviews since being incarcerated, Suge Knight, while speaking on the murder case of Biggie Smalls, has claimed that if the first case was solved, being the death of Tupac, then the second case, being Biggie, would also be solved, as according to him, it was the same group of people. This was in his claims of rogue cops of the Rampart scandal allegedly being involved. The LAPD Rampart scandal was one of the worst cases of police corruption in United States history. Former LA detective Russell Paul, who was the first person to investigate the Biggie case, filed police reports which claimed cops from the Rampart scandal worked security for Suge Knight's record label Death Row Records. Before Russell Paul dropped dead in the LA County Sheriff's Office in 2015, he wanted to apologize to Suge Knight for initially accusing him of orchestrating the hit. In this video, we're going to take a look into Suge Knight's claims during his prison interviews about the death of Biggie Smalls. Biggie Smalls was a rapper from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, who started rapping in the streets before releasing a demo in the early 1990s. The demo was picked up by Unsigned Hype, being featured in the Source magazine, which Sean Puffy Combs was involved in. Puffy signed him at the age of 19 to his label Bad Boy Records, and he released his first studio album, Ready to Die, in 1994. Biggie was friends with artist Tupac Shakur during his time, where Tupac showed him how to arrange songs and how to market them towards females for more radio play and exposure. Their friendship soon took a dark turn by November 1994. After Biggie released Ready to Die, he was in Quad Recording Studios in Manhattan, New York on November 30th, 1994, while hosting his group Junior Mafia's first ever session for Players Anthem. Puffy's bodyguard Eugene Bill revealed that Puffy was also at the studio separately from Biggie in a different room with music promoter and convicted drug trafficker Jimmy Henchman. Jimmy Henchman sent Tupac a message through his pager telling him to show up to the studio for a $7,000 offer for a feature verse. When Tupac arrived at the studio, he was shot 5 times with bullets being lodged in the back of his skull. Tupac believed it to be a setup due to comments Tupac made on the news concerning people connected to Jimmy Henchman, who was involved in a criminal case with Tupac. Tupac, after this, grew animosity towards Puffy and Biggie as he believed they may have knew something was about to happen to him and didn't warn him. Biggie soon after released Who Shot Ya, which some people came to believe was aimed at Tupac, and whether it was or not, it added fuel to the fire. The day after being shot 4 times, Tupac was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison, and he began to hear New York rappers dissing him on the radio. Puffy had another relationship turned sour, being with Suge Knight. Suge Knight was the owner of highly successful West Coast label Death Row Records. Suge Knight and Puff Daddy used to hang out with each other when they were in the same area. Puff Daddy asked Suge Knight on how to deal with the FBI as they were both under surveillance. This relationship soon took a dark turn. The Source magazine held its second annual awards ceremony at Madison Square Garden in New York City on August 3rd, 1995. While receiving an award, Suge Knight gave a shout out to Tupac, who was in prison, and then went on to diss Puff Daddy, hinting that Biggie should sign to Death Row.
Any artists out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, don't have to worry about the data producer trying to be all in the video, all on the record, dances. Come to Death Row. I never had a problem with these
reality, my plan was to bring him to death row.
Snoop Dogg, who was signed to death row, then had an outburst towards the New York audience, and Puffy responded to the diss. The incident caused tension between New York and Los Angeles and Bad Boy and Death Row Records. Death Row group The Dog Pound, along with Snoop Dogg, had their trailer shot up in New York a month
Holy shit.
later on September 17th, 1995, while they were filming a music video, and Biggie went on the radio announcing that they were there, with the gunshots happening after. Therefore, Biggie set them up to get
Yeah.
shot due to the ongoing animosity between Bad Boy and Death Row Records. Suge Knight,
crazy.
just 6 days after this, went to a birthday party in Atlanta, which Puffy also went to. Suge Knight's friend and blood gang member Jake Robles was shot at the party and died a week later in hospital. Kirk Burroughs, the former president of Bad Boy Records, claimed in a federal lawsuit that Puffy authorized the 1995 murder of Jake Robles, a close friend of Suge Knight,
The fuck?
a member of the MOB Pyru Bloods.
Yeah, I think Jake's thing was more of a setup job.
In the following month of October 1995, Suge Knight bailed out Tupac out of prison to make music for Death Row Records. Suge Knight and Tupac now both had a history with Bad Boy Records, which was a deadly combination waiting to happen. Death Row held a Christmas party in the Hollywood Hills in December of 1995, where Suge Knight and Tupac, along with others, locked music promoter Mark Anthony Bell inside one of the rooms and beat him with champagne bottles
Holy
after
shit.
he refused to give up the address of Puffy's family members in Los Angeles. Word got back to Puffy, and he was now apparently very scared of Suge Knight and enforced some gang security while in Los Angeles. Puffy had already made an alliance with the Southside Compton Crips in the early 90s, who were the rivals of Suge Knight's MOB Pyru Compton Bloods. Puffy would give the Southside Compton Crips tickets to his shows in Los Angeles to protect himself from the Bloods. One of these Southside Crips was a shot caller by the name of Keefy D, who was the uncle to fellow Southside Crip Orlando Anderson. After the incident with the champagne bottles in December of 1995, Puffy
Holy
performed
shit.
at a concert in Anaheim, California, where the Southside Crips were given tickets to show up. Keefy D claims that afterwards, Puffy had taken him and the Southside Crips to a hotel room, where Puffy allegedly made claims about how better life would be if Tupac and Suge Knight were gone. The 1996 Soul Train Music Awards was held on March 29th in the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles, and during the event, Biggie and Tupac got into a confrontation, which led to Death Row and Bad Boy also getting into it. Puffy's former bodyguard Eugene Dill claimed after the incident he heard Puffy shout out of frustration, "I don't care if Pac gotta die, I don't care if Big gotta die, I don't care if Suge Knight gotta go to jail." Orlando Anderson was involved in a chain-snatching incident in the following month of April 1996, where he tried to snatch the Death Row chain off of the neck of Suge Knight's associate and MOB Blood Trayvon Lane. Puffy's name was attached to a rumor in the streets of Los Angeles that at the time he would give $10,000 for a Death Row chain, but it was only a rumor. Suge Knight was getting ready to start
That's the
Death Row
chain that
East at this
fucking
time, which was going to take
Snoop Dogg
over
owns.
the East Coast territory. He had already signed former Bad Boy artist Craig Mack and was looking to sign Biggie. Eric B and Big D were going to head Death Row East, which made them tell Suge Knight to get Tupac to clear the air with the East Coast by pointing out exactly who he was dissing. Hit 'Em Up, the infamous diss track recorded in May of 1996, was then released in June, which featured impersonators of Biggie and Puffy, and Tupac claimed he had an affair with Biggie's wife, Faith Evans. After this, in the summer of 1996, Keefy D claimed Puffy invited him to the Green Black's Deli in Los Angeles, where he allegedly asked Keefy D if it was possible to get rid of Suge Knight and Tupac, and Keefy D
What the
claims
fuck?
himself then put forth $1 million bounty, which was allegedly agreed on. Suge Knight and Tupac were shot at in a drive-by
What's
shooting
up,
while on the Las
Vanessa?
Vegas Strip in September of 1996.
3 days after promoting Death Row East on the streets of New York while attending the MTV Awards, Suge Knight and Tupac traveled to Las Vegas for several
And there has
reasons.
some dab in it.
Tupac had to perform at Club 662 as part of community service, as just 2 weeks before the trip, he was sentenced to it, where to avoid jail time, he would have to perform community service as part of a benefit gig for a Metro police officer at Club 662. Death Row's head of security, former Compton cop Reggie Wright Jr., had several police officers supplying security for the event. Tupac's bodyguards, Frank Alexander and Michael Moore, have gone on record claiming that the morning of that day, Reggie Wright Jr. held a meeting at the house of the attorney for the club, where he told the security not to carry their weapons. Reggie Wright Jr. has defended these claims by saying that he told them not to carry their weapons while at the club due to the high-profile event it was set to be. However, since Michael Moore refused to surrender his weapon, he removed him from Tupac and made him stay at the club. Suge Knight was encouraged to bring celebrities to the club due to the charitable event taking place to spread awareness. Mike Tyson was supposed to appear at the club. He was also having a boxing match that night at the MGM Grand, which Suge Knight and Tupac went to watch. Tupac and Suge Knight saw Orlando Anderson in the MGM Grand lobby after the fight, after Trayvon Lane pointed him out. Tupac then went over and attacked him along with the Death Row entourage. Then they went back to their hotel rooms and Suge went back to his house in Vegas. Orlando Anderson went to the lobby bar in the MGM Grand where he met up with Keefe D along with New Yorker Eric Zip Martin, who introduced Keefe D to Puffy. Keefe D claims Zip, who knew about the alleged $1 million bounty, then said to Keefe D that it was the perfect opportunity to claim it. Keefe D claims 2 vehicles then drove to Club 662, waiting for Tupac and Suge Knight to arrive, as Tupac was set to perform there. After it took a while for them to arrive, Keefe D claims him, along with Southside Chris, Orlando Anderson, Terrence Brown, and DeAndre Smith, got into a white Cadillac rented by Terrence Brown's mother-in-law, where they eventually found Suge Knight and Tupac within a BMW on the Las Vegas Strip. Keefe D claimed he gave a Glock to Orlando Anderson, who fired it into the BMW, hitting Tupac 4 times and leaving Suge Knight with injuries to the head and chest. 6 days after the shooting, Tupac died in hospital after his mother took him off of life support. Following the shooting, the New Yorkers who were at the restaurant with Keefe D called Eugene Dill, being Puffy's bodyguard, to tell him what went down in Las Vegas. The day after the shooting, Keefe D and the Southside Crips returned to Los Angeles. While there, Zip called him and asked him to meet at a restaurant. Keefe D claimed Puffy called Zip and asked, "Was that us?" and Zip told him it was. He also claimed that Biggie Smalls' wife, Faith Evans, called Zip too and asked was it them that done it. Eugene Dill, being Puffy's bodyguard, claimed he saw the $1 million check, which was given to Jimmy Henchman, who was with Puffy the very first time Tupac got shot, being in New York in 1994. Eugene Dill claimed the check was disguised under a payment to Black Brown Records, which was given to Jimmy Henchman, then given to Zip, with the intention of it going to the Southside Crips. But 6 weeks passed, and Keefe D got no response from Zip. An FBI investigation claimed that Zip used the money to buy a nightclub. Suge Knight, in a prison interview, claimed Orlando Anderson was not the shooter, and something else went down entirely, with it being connected to the murder of Biggie Smalls 6 months later.
And the sad thing about it, Orlando wasn't even the shooter, you know?
Biggie Smalls was murdered in a drive-by shooting outside the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles 6 months after Tupac. He was in Los Angeles to film a video for his song Hypnotize, along with Help Puffy on his upcoming album. He was murdered in a drive-by shooting in a similar fashion to Tupac, or stopped at a red light following an after-party. During the time, Suge Knight was in prison due to the assault on Orlando Anderson. In a later prison interview, he claimed that the same group of people were involved in both murders and it had nothing to do with him.
And the other thing is for Biggie, so I'm quite sure if he saw the first one, they would saw the second one. It's the same Had nothing to do with me.
After Biggie's murder, there were several suspects. A civil trial against the city of Los Angeles by Biggie's family claimed corrupt cops from the LAPD Rampart Division were involved in the murder.
Who killed rapper Notorious B.I.G. and were LAPD officers involved?
LAPD detective Russell Paul provided evidence on this, which the trial was based on. A police report by LA detective Russell Paul claimed police from the LAPD Rampart Division were working security for Death Row Records.
Suge was implicated, and to some degree, Reggie Wright Jr. was too, because all these cops, they're working for Suge and Death Row, but Reggie was the one hiring.
Some of the cops associated to the label, according to findings by LA detective Russell Paul, were David Mack, Rafael Perez, and Kevin Gaines. Suge Knight, during a prison interview, claimed he didn't know any of the cops and claimed it was former Compton cop Reggie Wright Jr. who knew them.
The police officer, David Mack.
Never worked for me. At all, never. I never had a conversation with none of those dudes. Never met those dudes. They never worked for me. They knew Reggie Wright. They didn't know me.
A man by the name of Kenneth Blagney was arrested for a robbery and afterwards testified during the Rampart scandal. He claimed to have been a cellmate of Rafael Perez. Rafael Perez was an LAPD officer and main person involved in the Rampart scandal. Kenneth Blagney claimed Rafael Perez allegedly told him on the night Biggie Smalls was killed. Rafael Perez was at the museum providing security for Death Row Records along with David Mack. In his testimony, Kenneth claimed Rafael Perez told him that there was an alleged hit on both Sean Puffy Combs and Christopher Biggie Smalls Wallace, with the bounty being $1 million. Allegedly, $250,000 was to be paid up front and $750,000 afterwards. Kenneth's testimony claimed that $750,000 wasn't forked over, as the hit was allegedly for two people. David Mack robbed the Bank of America on November 6, 1997, where he stole $722,000, which still remains unaccounted for. David Mack used 2 vacation days off while working as LAPD. These were on the day of Biggie's murder and the day of the bank robbery. When the police searched David Mack's home for the bank robbery, they found a black SS Chevy Impala matching the description of the shooter's vehicle in the murder of Biggie Smalls, and they also found bullets which matched the rare type, with these bullets being buried under the floorboards of his house. Russell Paul was ready to make an arrest based on this evidence. However, LAPD Chief Bernard Parks told him to stand down, and photos surfaced of Bernard Parks' daughter with Rafael Perez. In 2006, former LAPD cop Greg Kading was tasked with solving the Biggie Smalls murder, so the wrongful death lawsuit of $400 million against the city of Los Angeles could be dismissed. Greg Kading claimed while Suge Knight was in jail in 1997, he ordered ward-out files of Pyru Blood and a known killer to take out Biggie Smalls. Greg Kading was the same cop who made Keefe D claim Orlando Anderson